Hi, today I'm here to do an LGBTQ plus recommendations video. Yeah, I don't know, it's what the title says. Happy Pride, it's Pride Month, so what better time to do a recommendations for Pride? So there's not really an introduction to this. Not all of these books are own voices, but if they are own voices, then I will point that out. Hopefully the next time I do a video like this, I will be able to feature only own voices books, but this time around it wasn't possible. Without further ado, here's a bunch of books that feature LGBTQ plus characters that I liked and think you should read. First, we have Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert. This follows Suzette after she comes home to Los Angeles after going to boarding school in New England for a year. She's coming home and dealing with not only struggles with her sexuality, but her older stepbrother who had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder right before she left for boarding school. So she's dealing with all of that. Suzette is bisexual. That is stated in the book. So if you're looking for that representation, it's in here. And she's also Black and Jewish, and it seemed like that representation was also well done. And I really enjoyed reading this book. This is a contemporary book, as if you couldn't guess by the synopsis. And we follow Suzette grow and change throughout the summer. We follow her as she deals with a crush she has on a guy, and then also the crush she has on a girl who her brother also has a crush on, and dealing with these multiple crushes, dealing with her feelings for multiple genders. And I just thought it was really interesting. I also really appreciated the family relationship that's featured in here. Like I said, her brother is her stepbrother, but they are very close, and their family is non-traditional in another way, in that her parents aren't like legally married, but they have been together for quite a long time. And yeah, I just really appreciated the family relationship. She's close to both of her parents, which I also appreciated. This does feature a love triangle, as you might have guessed from what I just said, but I personally didn't have a problem with it, and which I think says something, because I usually do sometimes have a love triangle problem, but like I said, I enjoyed the book. This has a trigger warning for mental illness and suicide ideation. I just thought I should put that in here. Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. I just read this book this past month in May for the Asian Readathon. So this book features a Vietnamese and Chinese American girl who is also bisexual. And this is set in a world where superheroes and supervillains and superpowers exist, and the main character Jessica does not have superpowers, but her parents do, and they're actually the town's local superheroes. So Jessica feels kind of like a disappointment to her family because she doesn't have powers, and she decides to get an internship. And this internship that she gets happens to be with the local supervillains and also her parents' sworn enemies. So it has that little fun aspect to it. And to go along with that, the other student working at her internship is Abby, who is her longtime crush. Yeah, it's super fun. And this book features a host of diverse sexualities. I don't remember what Abby identifies as, but she's also into women. And Jessica's best friend is a trans boy who will be the main character in the next book in this series. I just had such a fun time reading this. If you want to read a fun, it's mostly lighthearted. There are some heavier bits at the end, but it's not super heavy, like no trigger warnings really for anything. So it's not that heavy or anything. And for the most part, it's just a fun light read, watching two girls have crushes on each other and like each other. And it's so cute. And there's like a bigger mystery plot kind of thing going on with the superheroes and supervillains, which is also fun to read. Kind of reminds me of Sky High, but like different, just like the fun campiness of it. It reminds me of Sky High. Oh, and that is Own Voices. I believe the author identifies as bisexual. Pictures in the Light by Kelly Loy Gilbert. This follows Danny Chang, who has just gotten into his dream school, the Rhode Island School of Design. It has been his dream to be an artist, and he's going to get to go to college for it, and he got a full ride. And he's lucky enough that his parents are also supportive of his dream to be an artist, as a lot of families don't support like artistic endeavors and stuff. So he's lucky enough to have that. However, Danny's dealing with the feeling of all the uncertainty that going to college can bring, as he will have to leave his best friend, Harry Wong, as the school is clear across the country. Danny is in the Bay Area, and the Rhode Island School of Design is in Rhode Island. He's dealing with that conflict and also leaving his parents behind. And then he also uncovers something about his parents that he's not sure what it means, and he's trying to solve that mystery as the year goes on. This follows his entire senior year. And then as a 1-year anniversary of a tragedy in his friend group approaches, Danny's also dealing with that and the other people in his friend group, such as Harry's girlfriend, Regina, and what she wants and how Harry feels about her and everything like that. And this is one of those like meandering stories where there's not one plot. Like, it's not like this is what the book is going to be about and we only follow this one thing. It has a lot of meandering stories, which I really liked about it. This story does have a trigger warning for depression and suicide. Danny falls somewhere on the LGBTQ plus spectrum, but it is never stated where. But he is in love with a guy, and while that wasn't the central point of the story, it was definitely in there, which I appreciated. And I also appreciated how him being in love with the guy, the issue wasn't that it was a guy, it was just who specifically he was. The cast of characters is almost entirely Asian. Danny is Chinese American, and his two best friends are first generation Taiwanese American. And the book also deals with what it's like being a first generation American, so any children of immigrants might be able to relate to this. I found there were some things that were relatable, even though I'm not Chinese, but just there's some things that being a child of immigrants to America, things that happen that are common. And so I related to that part of it. And also being Asian American in the story is discussed. And that part of the book is own voices, and you can tell. And yeah, I really appreciated this book. If you like quiet, kind of meandering stories, I really recommend this. I loved it. It was one of my favorite books of 2018. It's Not Like It's a Secret by Misa Segura. This is another book that I recently read for the Asian Readathon, and I'm so glad that I did. We follow 16-year-old Sana, who has too many secrets. Some are small, like how she feels left out when her friends don't invite her to parties, and some are bigger, like the fact that she suspects her father is having an affair. And then there's one that she can barely even admit to herself, like the fact that she has a crush on her best friend. So when Sana and her family move to California, she decides it's time for some honesty when she meets a girl named Jamie who she has a crush on. However, Sana's new friends don't really like Jamie and her friends, and Jamie's friends don't really like her friends. And then she's dealing with a guy who seems to have a crush on her, and she's also seeing a lot more evidence of her dad's affair. And so we follow Sana as she's dealing with all this stuff that's going on, and I really enjoyed it. I don't have to say that in every book in this video because it's a recommendation, so I must have really enjoyed it. Sana is a lesbian, so she falls under the L in LGBTQ. She is Japanese American, and that part I believe is own voices. And her love interest is Mexican American. I really appreciated the topics discussed in this book. Sana moves from being a minority where she lived to a place where there are a lot more Asian American people, and so she feels like she blends in more, and she's happy about it. And she finds people who have gone through the same thing as her, having similar upbringings as her. And I really appreciated the romance because it is an interracial relationship, and the fact that it's interracial is explored, and how coming from two cultural identities can affect your relationship, can affect how you view other people. And I thought that was a really important aspect to the story, and it was honestly my favorite part because I really don't see that explored in YA. Sana really examines her internal prejudices, and I really appreciated that. George by Alex Gino. I actually did a video review on this book a while ago, so I will leave that in the cards and link down below if you're interested. George follows a young trans girl who, when people look out, they say she's a boy, but she knows in her heart that she's a girl. And I'm not sure what grade she's in, but her class decides to put on Charlotte's Web as a play, and she really wants to play Charlotte. So with the help of her best friend, Kelly, they come up with a plan to show everyone that she can play Charlotte and show everyone who she truly is. This was honestly a super cute story, very important story. It was the first book about a trans main character I've ever read, and it was middle grade, which I think is amazing. I want this to be required reading for every elementary school student and so if you haven't read it already, I really recommend it. It's middle grade, so it's quite short, and I think it really packs a punch. Ask the Passengers by A.S. King. This follows Astrid Jones, who has a secret relationship with a girl, and she can't tell anyone about it because it's a secret, and she feels alone in her family with her mother's pushiness and her father's lack of interest, but she spends her time on the picnic table in her backyard sending love to the planes that pass over her house. So there is like a little magical realism aspect to this. I don't think it's as heavy hitting as some of A.S. King's other like magical realism books. This is another quiet story. If you can't tell, there's a theme in what I enjoy in books. I might do recommendations based on that. Let me know if you want it. But as her relationship gets more intense and her friends want more answers, Astrid doesn't know what to do. We follow as she tries to deal with that. I really like the writing of this. Something about it was really engrossing and like made me want to keep reading. And I really appreciated the family aspect of this because Astrid does not have the most supportive family. And I think that it's important that that's shown in books, especially YA books, because not everyone is lucky enough to have a super loving and adoring family who like listens to everything you say without judging you. It's just not realistic. And unfortunately, YA is either super loving family or you have no family. And lots of people have things in between. So I thought that was important to show, and that's what I really appreciated this book for. Unfortunately, I don't remember if Astrid identifies as a lesbian, but the main conflict of this book is her secret relationship with a girl, so that definitely falls under the LGBTQ+ spectrum. Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire-Sainz. This book has definitely been recommended by a bunch of people on BookTube. Probably everyone else's Pride recommendations have this book on it, but I couldn't really leave it off because it's just that good. We follow Aristotle, who's a Mexican-American teen who's dealing with his brother being in prison, and he's really angry about that, and he has a lot of anger in him, and he meets Dante at the neighborhood swimming pool, and they become friends, and we explore their friendship as time goes on, and their friendship that blossoms into something more. Once again, I don't recall what the main character identifies as, but he's in love with a boy, so that falls under the spectrum again. This is just, once again, a quiet story. It's set in the 80s, so it deals with people's prejudices, not only against LGBTQ+ people, but also his experiences as a Mexican American in the United States, and Dante's experiences as well, because he's also Mexican American. And we see how his family relationship, and it's really, once again, supportive and loving, which I did really enjoy. Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour. The main character is a lesbian. Once again, another quiet book. We follow Emmy, whose brother leaves his Los Angeles apartment to her while he's away for the summer, and his one condition for letting her stay in the apartment was that something great had to take place, and she is not sure she can make that happen. But then one day she goes to an estate sale with her friend, and they find a mysterious letter from a Hollywood legend that leads her on a wild goose chase to figure out who this letter is supposed to go to, why they sent it, all this stuff. Emmy works on a film set. She's like a set designer. She's like an assistant to a set designer. And the descriptions of that I found were really cool. And she's also dealing with the on-again, off-again relationship she has with her ex-girlfriend. And then she meets a new girl, and she's dealing with her feelings with that. So it's just an all-around teen book. It was a fun read, like I said, quiet. I really enjoyed it, and if you like quiet reads that feature a little bit of diversity, here you go. And the last book that I will be recommending in this video is If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo. This is about Amanda Hardy, who is a trans girl who switches to a new school after she transitions so she can get a fresh start. She ends up meeting a boy, so she gets nervous about telling him about herself as things get serious. She wants to let him into her past, but she doesn't know how he'll react. And so we watch as Amanda deals with this new love in her life and her transition to her new school, as well as her relationship with her dad, who hasn't been the most outwardly supportive of her transition. I thought this was a great story of watching a trans girl live her life. This book does have a trigger warning for depression, suicide, and transphobia. Amanda does have some stuff happen to her before she transitions, and then some other things happen to her after she transitions, actually. So keep that in mind. This one is definitely not for the faint of heart, but I really liked the story. There were definitely cute romantic parts with her love interest that I really enjoyed, and I think that it could make trans people feel very seen, which I'm always here for. And this story is Own Voices. Meredith Russo is a trans woman, and she's actually just written, or another book is coming out about another trans girl. I think it's called Birthday or something. I'll leave it linked down below. Those are all the books that I'm going to recommend in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like. In the comments down below, recommend an LGBTQ+ book that you will be reading this month, or that you would recommend to me or anyone else who's reading the comments, just all the LGBTQ+ books. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel because I make more videos where I talk about books. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.